All right, let's dive into one of the most famous, most iconic scenes in all of literature. I'm talking, of course, about the balcony scene from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. We're going to break down what makes this scene tick, and really, why it's the moment that changes absolutely everything.
So you look at this and you see the perfect, most romantic declaration of young love ever. But what's really going on here? Well, underneath it all, it's an incredibly dangerous secret meeting. Remember, he's a Montague, she's a Capulet. Their families hate each other. So this isn't just a romance, it's an act of rebellion, and one that's going to have some serious consequences.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Romeo just crashed a party at the Capulet's house, saw Juliet, and boom, instant love. But instead of just going home, he does something kind of crazy. He actually climbs over the walls into his enemy's property, risking his life, all for the chance to see her again.
And listen, this is not an exaggeration. Juliet says it herself. The stakes could not be higher. If her family finds Romeo hanging out in their orchard, they will kill him. Period. That tension, that feeling of passionate love right next to sudden, violent death, it just hangs over every single line of this scene. So now let's jump into Romeo's head for a second. He's hiding there in the dark, he looks up, and he sees Juliet on her balcony. And his brain just explodes with poetry. I mean, he doesn't just see a girl he likes, he sees the source of light that he thinks can change his entire world. And there it is, one of the most famous lines in all of literature. With just that one metaphor, Shakespeare tells you everything you need to know. Romeo doesn't just think Juliet is pretty, he thinks she is as essential, as powerful, and as life-giving as the sun itself. And he just keeps going with this theme. Look at the words he uses when he talks about her. Sun, stars, bright angel. It's all about light. And everything else? The envious moon, the night, the darkness, that's the rest of the world. To Romeo, she is literally a heavenly creature, totally separate from the dark and dangerous world he's standing in.
But, while Romeo's lost in all this beautiful poetry, Juliet, up on her balcony thinking she's alone, is wrestling with the real-world problem. The huge elephant in the room problem. Their names. And it leads her to ask this really deep philosophical question.
Okay, this line. So many people get this wrong. She is not wandering around her garden asking, "Hey, where are you, Romeo?" The key word, the one that changes everything, is wherefore.
What she's actually asking is, why are you Romeo? Why, of all the people in the world, did the guy I fall for have to be a Montague, my family's enemy? You can just feel her frustration with this totally arbitrary barrier that's standing in their way. And this is her brilliant argument. A name is just a label, right? It doesn't change what something is. A rose would still be a rose and smell amazing, even if we called it something else. She's saying Romeo would still be the guy she loves, no matter what his last name is. It's this amazing argument for who you are as a person versus the group you belong to.
So, right then, Romeo reveals himself. They finally start talking to each other face to face. And this is where you really start to see just how different their personalities are, even though they're both totally swept up in this moment.
You've got Romeo, who's the total idealist, right? He's impulsive, poetic, all about these grand gestures. And then you have Juliet, who is surprisingly practical and cautious. She's constantly the one pulling the conversation back down to earth. Perfect example. Romeo tries to swear his love by the moon. Super romantic, right? Well, Juliet immediately shuts him down. And why? Because the moon changes. It's not constant. And she doesn't want a love that's variable. She wants something real, something steady. It just shows how mature she is. She wants true commitment, not just pretty words.
And you can feel her anxiety here. Even though she's completely in love, there's this part of her that knows this is all happening way too fast. And that comparison to lightning, it's perfect. A brilliant, amazing flash that's gone in an instant. Talk about a huge piece of foreshadowing for the tragedy that's on its way.
But even with Juliet trying to tap the brakes, the momentum of this scene is just unstoppable. The force of what they're feeling pushes them from just talking to making a plan that will change their lives forever. And they do it in a matter of minutes.
I mean, the speed here is just breathtaking. 1 minute, they're exchanging vows. The very next, Juliet is the one pushing for marriage. And not just someday in the future. She wants to set a plan for tomorrow. It's wild. And notice this. It's Juliet, the one who just seems so cautious, who completely takes charge here. She's the one who proposes marriage.
With these words, she's the one who sets the whole tragic plot in motion. She turns a secret romance into a direct rebellion. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and just recap why this one scene is the absolute turning point for the whole play. What are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, it makes their love official. It seals the deal. Second, it shifts the entire story from just a crush into an actual plan for marriage. It's all action now. Third, it shows us exactly who these two are, Romeo the poet and Juliet the pragmatist. Fourth, it's packed with hints about the tragedy to come. And finally, it lays out the central conflict of the entire play. Is your love for a person more important than your loyalty to your family?
The scene ends on this unforgettable line, and it just perfectly captures their whole situation, doesn't it? The sweetness of finding this incredible new love, and the sorrow of having the world force you apart, even if it's just for one night.
And that leaves us with the big question of the whole play, doesn't it? Was what they did a brave choice? A stand against a hateful world? Or was it just a foolish, reckless mistake made by two kids that kicked off their own tragedy? Thinking about that, well, that's what makes this story absolutely timeless.